Okay, so our new project is this lovely black cat with red background and some blossoms. So what we're going to do is prime the canvas first. And this can be done two ways. You could prime the canvas in a gray-green, light gray-green, and put the red on top, because red and green are opposite each other on the color wheel, so they're complementary. Or you could we could just start with red, with raw umber, and just start priming right away. Now, the red I have is a basics acrylic, and the acrylic is basics acrylic. I'm trying not to use expensive paint for the background. So now what I'm going to do is, with a wide brush, so before we trace this on or draw it on, we are going to prime the canvas. So I have raw umber and cadmium red light. You're welcome to use any light colored red you have. And I'm just going to take just a wide brush. And instead, usually when we are priming, or when I prime, I go in different directions on the canvas. But this time, what we're going to do is use a brush stroke up and down, more like this, instead of going across in different directions like when we usually prime in a burnt umber, let's say. So this will help, because we will have to do this a couple of times. It's not going to happen from the first layer. Okay, so let's go up and down like this. And it doesn't matter what you get. If you get more brown or more red, it doesn't matter, because this is not the layer that we're going to be using. We're going to put more layers over. So I'm taking less, not a lot of, what I do is with the corner of my brush, I pick up raw umber. And let's do this. Up and down, up and down. So raw umber, cadmium red light. It's a beautiful combination of colors. And a wide brush. And if you see this, what I'm seeing right now, streaks, that's okay. Don't try to cover the streaks. Leave them. Because this is what we're doing. We are glazing layers on. Okay, I'm going to leave it, let it dry, and I'll come back and put another layer. Okay, so this is dry. First layer is dry. Now what we're going to do is take, we measured to where the ledge is going to be, and we put a line in there, a mark. We marked it. And then what I did is I taped the bottom part so we can paint the bottom part without having to worry about any messy stuff in there, because we do have to put a bit of the shadow down here. So it's easier if we have a masking tape to play around with that. So I am going to have a smaller brush ready, and I'm going to go back to the big brush I was working with. Actually, yeah, I will do that. I'm going to have same brush. And we're going to work on a second layer. Now, the second layer, if you can, bring in a bit of the Cadmium Red Medium, that would be fantastic. If not, no worries, just use whatever you have, the same colors we were having. But bringing in a little bit of Cadmium Red Medium will change the color into a deeper red. And we're going to do the same, exactly what we did before. But instead of covering completely the first layer, we'll leave some, if possible, we'll see how it goes. We'll leave some red showing from the bottom part. First layer that we did, if possible. So I'm mixing now Cadmium Red Medium with raw umber, and I'm going to do the same. I'm going to take it down. Oh my God, this is so beautiful, so rich. And you see how I'm leaving a bit of that red that we used at the beginning, first layer. I'm leaving some showing through. We don't need to cover it completely. Same up and down. And eventually for the third layer, what I'm going to do is actually use a smaller brush so we get some texture. This is really very nice. It might dry very dark, but that's okay. And we are going to be putting a bit of green eventually. I'm going to take just red now, no raw umber, and just add that beautiful, beautiful deep red. If you covered this first layer, that's okay. Just kind of bring back some of these colors with Cadmium Red Light if you want, but no need, it's fine. I'm sure it will look great even without. So this is a small brush right now, and the reason I'm working a little bit fast is just because it's dry. It's wet, not dry, wet. So I'm going to mix a little bit of Cadmium Red Medium with lots of raw umber, and I'm going to come across here and go across. First, I'm going to go across. I'm going to let it dry. And because I'm going to put another layer of dark umber in there, but before it dries completely, with the corner of my brush, I'm just going to bring in a little bit of this dark umber. I am going to be putting another layer of umber. When this layer is dry. So it's good. That's good. And I'll let it dry and I'll come back to it. Okay, so now what we're going to do is take raw umber only, small brush, and we're going to enhance this dark underneath the ledge. because this is dry. So I'm working over dry now. Dry paint. That's great. Bring it down a bit. Just like that. Okay. Now, Cadmium Red Light. Oh, this brush is not good. Too stiff. So I'm going to use a soft brush. Maybe this one. Smaller than the first one I was using before because I want texture. So the larger the brush, the less texture you're going to have. The smaller the brush, the more texture. So we're going to take Cadmium Red Light and we're going to put it over the Cadmium Red Medium that we have. And if your Cadmium Red Light, if the pigment is very thick, strong, use a bit of water to thin your pigment a bit because it's going to cover, if it's too heavy, it's going to cover the layers underneath. And we don't really want to cover the layers underneath. We just want to highlight a little bit that wall because it's really dark. You know, acrylic draws darker. So now I'm just going to, yeah, my colors, my paint underneath is still not dry completely, so it's lifting. I have to be careful. Doesn't have it. We don't want this wall to look perfect. We want it to look weathered. Okay. All right. That's why I'm saying using an inexpensive paint at this point is good because you're almost glazing with the inexpensive one because the pigment is not thick. Yeah, definitely it's picking, it's lifting the paint underneath. So I'm going to let it dry a bit and then I'll go back to it. And then we move on to the top. All right, so now I'm going to take masking tape and I'm going to tape this part of the painting or the canvas. Okay, good. Now, there are so many ways we can do this background. We can do it with knife technique. We can do put medium on this on the background, but I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to take this medium size because again I want some texture, and this time we have raw umber, cadmium red light, and Naples yellow. So we're going to take a little bit of raw umber, put it in the cadmium red light because we want the cadmium red light to be a little bit more earthy. And then I'm going to take Naples yellow. Don't mix it too much because it's nice to show a bit of both. And again, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my color and then kind of take a bit of more of the yellow ochre and put it in, if you can, in certain areas. So
why do you use Naples? You said yellow ochre.
No, I'm sorry, Naples yellow. Woo.
Okay.
What am I doing? Thank you. Okay, so I'm taking a little bit more of the Naples yellow. I'm putting it in. And I'm going to be eventually putting the Naples yellow and red. And let's put some here, some down here. And then I'm going to take Cadmium Red Light, a little bit of raw umber, come here, and just go around this cadmium or this Naples Yellow. And I'm doing this on purpose. I want this texture to show of the Naples Yellow. I don't want it to be perfect. This is a little bit more of the Cadmium Red Light and Burnt Umber. All right, and let's leave it at this. That's it. So I'm gonna wait for it to dry. This is exactly, it's like a nice, really nice background for this, to put the cat here. And if I want, I can always add a little bit more of this combination of red, little bit of raw umber and Naples Yellow. Especially where the cat is going to be. Maybe a little bit of a lighter color in the background. This is dry now, dry paint. I'm just trying to apply a bit of a dry paint just to get some texture. So if you take a bit of the Naples Yellow mixed with red, and then you just kind of dry your brush a bit and then put it on, you will get that beautiful texture. It's really fun. See that? It's good. All right, I'm gonna remove, we're good with this. Whatever I'm going to do after doesn't require masking tape. So this is kind of almost dry. So I'm gonna try to see if I can paint over this a bit. You know, acrylics dries darker, so I'm going to try to highlight this tiny bit, not much. We're using, of course, Cadmium Red Light, bit of raw umber, and I'm going to put a tiny bit of this Naples Yellow. If you like the color just the way it is, you don't need to do anything. wipe my brush. So I have a dry brush. From bottom up, apply a couple of dry brush over this part. And that will connect the bottom part with the upper wall. Yeah, that's good. It brought the kind of values closer to each other. Bottom part, upper part, kind of. And both are textured. We still have one more step to do, the sledge and a bit of green. Okay, so for this step now, we're going to work on the ledge. We're going to color the ledge and put some green round on the wall. But before, I just want to show you, this is Sap Green. Sap Green with raw umber. I'm going to put some raw umber in it just to make it more earthy, more on the brown side. And if I put Naples Yellow, it will give me a nice yellowy color. Green, I should say, yellowy green, like that. The one next to it, this one, is Hooker's Green. And it's actually Hooker's Green Deep Hue Permanent. So if I take Hooker's Green and I do exactly the same, I'll put some raw umber in and then a little bit of Naples Yellow, I'm gonna get a grayer green. So both of them are fine. I just wanted to show you the difference. If you use any of those, it's fine. I'm going to use Sap Green. And before I do anything, I'm going to work on the ledge first, which will have a bit of green in it, but more raw umber than green. I'm going to take my masking tape, mask it. Okay. I'm going to take a small brush and I'm going to take raw umber, mix it with Sap Green. See, that's more raw umber than Sap Green. It's a grayish or it's a brownish kind of green. I'm going to take a little bit of yellow, Naples Yellow. Okay, this is good enough. And this is a good value. It's not too light, not too dark, medium. And I'm going to come here and do this. This is for my first layer, okay? It doesn't matter if it seeps in. It's not a big deal. Underneath the tape. Now I'm taking yellow ochre and raw umber. So I'm changing the color into more of a brown, yellow brown with the corner of my brush. I'm just going to add a couple of highlights in here. Actually, it's better if I wait for it to dry, or use your hair dryer and dry the first layer, because now I'm losing the darks. We can wait for it to dry. Meanwhile, we can do the wall behind it, and then we'll add the highlights. Should do that. I shouldn't do it right away because I'm going to lose the darks.
So what color did you add to that?
I'm just going back. I'm just going back to the color I used before, which is Sap Green, raw umber, and a bit of
Naples.
Naples Yellow. Yeah. I shouldn't, go ahead and wait for it to dry. It's better, because then when we add those little bit of highlights in yellows in here, it will look much nicer if the first layer is dry. Meanwhile, this is drying, so actually let's dry it a little bit, because I need to remove this. All right, so I removed the bottom part, the tape, the bottom part of the tape. I removed it, and you can see I have a bit of color showing through from the red, which is great. It doesn't matter, because I'm going to take raw umber with a round brush, and then I'm going to do this, kind of clean it up. And if it looks a bit irregular, the ledge, it's even better. There. And you'll see once we start highlighting this ledge, it will look much better. It will look really nice. Okay, so this is good. Now I'm going to go back to the green and medium size brush. The same one I was using for here, this one. And I'm going to take green, sap green if you want. I'm going to put in it raw umber, Naples Yellow. If I don't put raw umber with sap green and Naples Yellow, it will look a very strong yellowy green. I don't want it. I want that earth tone to show. I'm going to clean my brush, wipe it. Okay, with the excess, remove that green in there. And I'm going to come here. See, with the dry brush. I don't want to cover the red completely. I want the red to show through still. And then I'm going to do this. Just a couple of that beautiful green, earthy green that we are using. Right? Now we can do the same up here, just a bit. And it's dry brush. All right, enough. I'm gonna put more than this. Dry my brush and adjust this red down here. down here. Okay, good. That's good. The green was a bit too opaque in here, so I just kind of opened up the green with some red. Now, what I can do is start highlighting this red ledge a bit using. I can use I'm going to try with a round brush and see if it works, and if it doesn't work, I'll just switch. This is Naples Yellow mixed into the green that I had before, which is green and raw umber and Naples Yellow. I'm going to put more of the raw umber in it. Wipe my brush. And then try to do something like this. Stick some raw umber, more raw umber as well, so it's not the same color all the way. So the ledge has green in it, and now I'm highlighting with raw umber and green and Naples Yellow. So I'm seeing more of the earth tone of the raw umber in here. Okay, I'm going to let it dry a bit. Take raw umber, Naples Yellow. This is again like a dry brush. This is perfect. Now this highlight is going to bring the ledge out. And because we have a dark color underneath, this shows more. This ledge, when you highlight it and you have a dark color value underneath, it will show it more. It will come forward. I'm using raw umber now, and I'm just going to clean up a bit here. Not really clean it up, but this ledge is made of stone. So because I was putting a brush stroke that is kind of up and down this way, it just kind of made this whole thing look a bit more, the edges were a bit funny, looking funny. So I'm just kind of cleaning up. Now, let's see. Okay. I'm going to remove this. With the same brush, round, I'm going to take Naples Yellow, a lot of Naples Yellow, put a bit of raw umber in it, clean my brush, and with the round brush, I'm just going to go and put a very narrow, like thin line of a highlight on this ledge. Upper part. And see how by putting this highlight on top, the wall, this ledge comes forward even more. Again, I mean, acrylic dries darker, so I'm just gonna add another layer once it's dry of the same color and highlight it a little bit more. There. And we're good. Next week, we will trace the cat and the branches on, and we'll start painting the cat and the rest of the branches. And we're done for this week.